Welcome, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Lauren O'Brien. I'm the Vice President of Marketing here at Science Interactive, and I'm really excited to be kicking off today's event. Before we get started, I'm just going to cover a few quick housekeeping items. First, we are recording the session. We'll be sharing it with everybody after the event. And we also really want to hear from you. So please submit your questions at any point. You could do that in the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and we're going to be handling those at the end of the event today. Today, you're going to have a chance to hear about the latest updates at Science Interactive from Sasha Peterson, our CEO, Caitlin Rennie-Janzi, our Chief Academic Officer, and Emily Herman, our Director of Product Management. And what we're going to be talking about is first some of the strategic priorities and operational improvements where we've been focused here at Science Interactive to better support our customers. Kate will then share some of the latest developments with our curriculum, and Emily will share some of the latest enhancements to our SI Cloud platform. And then we're also going to cover a few features that we think are going to be most helpful for you to keep in mind as you're preparing for the upcoming fall semester. As I mentioned, we'll have Q&A at the end of the session, so feel free to submit those questions throughout, and we will have time for those at the end. So with all that, Sasha, I will turn it over to you.
Thanks, Lauren. I'm Sasha Peterson. I'm the CEO of the Science Interactive Group, and I want to begin by just saying thank you. Thank you for the trust you put into us for helping to teach the students that you're inspiring every day. And thank you for joining us for the next hour or so to learn about what we've been working on and hopefully find a new way to begin collaborating even more effectively in the coming months and years. This is my first fall with Science Interactive, and I have to admit I've been amazed by the incredible surge of volume and action that's happened and been really impressed with the team and how much we've been working to make sure that we're keeping up with it all, getting things out the door to you, to your students, and really working diligently to make this the best fall we've ever had. My job today is pretty easy. I'm going to tee up a couple of high-level topics and share some of the things that I've been personally working on and really helping focus the team around, and then hopefully really underscore the deep commitment that we have for continual improvement, not only for the fall, but into the future as well. It's my first year here at Science Interactive, as I mentioned, and so there were really a lot of opportunities for us to think about where we're going to put our attention as we really begin to refocus in our new reality. And it emerged pretty quickly, the number one priority that we're going to focus on for this year at least, that came out back in January and has been something we've been thinking about across the board, is that around quality. For many of us, dare I say most of us, we're now living in a post-pandemic world. And that pandemic was a strain on the world. And certainly Science Interactive was no stranger to that. We felt the pressure of a huge surge in new kits that we needed to be built. We saw a huge number of new users using our platform, and that put an incredible strain onto our company as a whole and onto our systems. And so as we're recalibrating how we do our job and how we operate in this new normal, we've been thinking a lot about, beyond quality, how can we get even more focused on what we're doing? And the answer to that emerged pretty quickly for us as well, which was we want to look at everything through the lens of a student and basically put the student at the center of everything that we do. So with that lens, we began to focus on our kits, we focused on our software, and we focused on creating a new feedback loop so that we can get information from students about what's working and not working, and from you all about what's working and not working, and have really appreciated the great collaboration that we've been doing. One huge area that we realized as we started thinking about things through the lens of the student is that we can do better with consistency. We can do better with consistency in terms of engaging with you all during the process of adoptions. We can do better with consistency with the answers that we give to students through our support team. But most importantly, we can do better with consistency with our kits. You see, our company came together through the merging of a couple of different companies back in 2019. And as many people's plans got a little bit unraveled in 2020, ours was no different. And so an initiative that we actually began back in 2019, which was to begin to sunset the traditional ESL kits and move into the more modern Science Interactive kits, that got derailed. And we realize now as we look around, we have a lot of differences in the experiences that people are having, and we're not able to give the same attention and focus for everything that we want to. So this year, we re-began that process to begin to sunset the ESL kits and make sure that we are reimagining those kits with the best equipment we can have and the most modern pedagogy we can have to ensure outstanding online science education. And so those traditional ESL kits, we realize, don't fit into the mold of what we want to be in the future. And so we've been working diligently, and many of you have already done the next steps to begin that conversion, to begin to sunset those kits over the next year or so. And if you've not talked to us yet, really would encourage you and invite you to speak to one of your representatives to understand what the next steps are in making that change, because that's a major initiative for us that we know is going to improve the overall quality of the experience. And as we thought about that pedagogy and that change, we also wanted to make sure that it's not just ourselves saying this is really working, but we found a new commitment with our partner, Quality Matters, to certify all of the disciplines that we have out there. And so that's the way that we're focusing on across the board. Quality is not only making sure that our kits are consistent and going out the door effectively, but also ensuring that the pedagogy that we're utilizing is the best that it can be. And so this then continued to get our focus even more tight and got us to really think about student outcomes, because ultimately that's what you're worried about. Putting students first is a lot easier said than done. But the most direct way we can do it is through our kits. And we've already started this process to really reimagine what those kits are going to look like. And the early results are quite promising. We're seeing a significant reduction in broken or missing items in those kits. We've reinvested in a bigger support team that's more responsive than ever to make sure that you're getting things quickly. And coming soon is a new digital bill of materials that's going to allow students to more easily understand what's in their kit, but also why it's there. And we also know that a lab experience is only as good as a lab manual. So we've made an unprecedented investment in SI Cloud, and that's going to continue. We're trying to find a balance of new features like LTI 1.3 integration that we're going to talk about in a few minutes, but also a balance in making sure that we are maintaining the quality and scalability of that platform as we continue to grow. And hopefully along the way, a few surprises. Keep an eye out in the next couple of weeks for a really exciting announcement around artificial intelligence in the platform as well. And as I've already mentioned, we're really committed to make sure that we have the best pedagogy we can have. And that means seeking the gold standard with validation from Quality Matters. And so I'm proud to share that every discipline we offer today is now QM certified, and that'll be our new standard going forward. So what does this all mean to you? Well, we've been running really hard for the last 6 months to ensure that you and your students have the best fall ever. You should see a decrease in replacements. You should see an increase in the speed that fulfillment is completed for you. And that is largely based on the amazing improvements we've had in our warehouse operations. Honestly, the warehouse is unrecognizable since I started here just 9 months ago. It's hard to describe. It's hard to really even show you an illustration of it, but we'd love to show you. So if you do ever find yourself in the Jacksonville, Florida area, let me know. And I'd love to have you and host you there and show you around what it is that we're working on. In SI Cloud, you're also going to see some great improvements, new features, including a totally redesigned gradebook, LTI 1.3, and really a continued improvement to make sure that your students and you have the best experience you've ever had with cloud. And this is really just the start. We're equally excited about the work that we're working on in the second half of the year, and we're going to be sharing that with you towards the end of the year. But in the meantime, I want to thank you for joining us again. And really focus now on the rest of the webinar, which is going to dig a little bit more deeply into some of these topics and many more. And to do that, I'd like to introduce my colleague, our Chief Academic Officer, Kate Runny-Janzi. Kate, over to you.
Thanks, Sasha. Hi, everyone. My name is Kate Runny-Janzi, and I'm our Chief Academic Officer. I'm really excited to share with you today a number of the improvements my team has been working on, as well as some of the redevelopments we've been working on across our curriculum. The focus of our curriculum development team really remains on providing a very high quality experience for our higher ed students with a real focus on continuous improvement across all of our 11 disciplines. To that end, we've really focused on 4 main areas in 2023, as well as the previous years for this first one. So first, we've been, over the last 4 years, our team has focused on revising and redeveloping our curriculum to continue to meet the needs of our online students. These redevelopments have included new lessons and experiments, pulling the best of our historic e-science and HOL content, as well as incorporating new digital labs, interactives, and animations to really support and engage students, experiment videos and images to help guide students through the protocols that they're going to be performing, as well as fully revising all of our assessments that go within the disciplines. Our newest launch in 2023 is our Science Interactive Microbiology content, and we'll be previewing a little bit of that later in this talk today. As part of our commitment to quality and as part of these revisions we've been working on, we have undergone a Quality Matters review on all 11 of our disciplines that we offer. And we're excited to share that we have achieved Quality Matters certification in all 11 of these disciplines. For those of you who may not be familiar with Quality Matters, we'll dive into this a little bit later as to what Quality Matters is, what that review process looks like, and what that means for you. In addition to that, our scientists have been closely collaborating with our operations team to review our kits and optimize our packaging. And really what we're focusing on here is to ensure that our students can find all the materials in their kits easily, can identify objects that may not be familiar to them for students who haven't been in a science lab in a long time, and really are set up for success from the moment they open their kit to be able to complete their lab successfully. This includes working on our digital BOM with pictures of every items in the kits, looking closely at our labeling to make sure that items are clear and easy to identify, as well as making sure that that experiment contents are packaged together so students can more easily feel like they can go into their kit and pull out everything they need for a single experiment in one go. Finally, we know that instructor experience is also very important, and to that end, we've really been focusing on academic integrity. We know that you, as well as us, have all encountered students who maybe are using Chegg, Course Hero, and similar websites to try and access content and circumvent the process of doing their labs. Our team is actively monitoring all of these sites. We pull down roughly 500 instances of copyright infringement each week to try and mitigate the impact of this on your students. In addition to this, coming this fall, we're going to be releasing question banks in 5 of our disciplines. This can be used in combination with our question customization feature. And in addition to that, we will also be launching question banks across all of our disciplines by the end of the year. But first, let's talk about Quality Matters. So what is Quality Matters? For those of you who are not familiar, it is the gold standard in higher ed as well as K-12 quality assurance. Quality Matters collaborates with individual instructors, with institutions, as well as publishers to review courses and content and really make sure that it's designed in a way that sets up online students for success. For us as a publisher, we have 41 standards that we are striving to meet as part of the Quality Matters review process. When we go through a Quality Matters review, it's a team of 3. It's one of our team members, our lead instructional designer, as well as a Quality Matters master reviewer and a subject matter expert within the discipline that's being reviewed. And what that team does is they go through each of the individual standards, identify what standards are met, what may not be met, and what would be required to meet those standards if they are not met currently. Within those 41 standards, there's 8 general standards that are reviewed. These include learning objectives. Do the learning objectives align to Bloom's taxonomy? Are the learning objectives tested through measurable assessments? Are there instructional materials and support materials for any course technology so that students, once they're within the course, are able to guide themselves through identifying materials, utilizing the platform, and really are they set up for success within the platform or the content? This also includes a review of accessibility. Do videos include closed captioning? Do images include alt text so that students who require accommodations can also complete the course successfully? Finally, it also includes a review of assessments and how students are assessed and measured within the course. And really, like I mentioned, going back to learning objectives, are those assessments testing students on those learning objectives? We are really excited to say that every single lesson that we offer, all 450, were reviewed by Quality Matters this year across all of our disciplines, and that every single one is Quality Matters certified. So for those of you who are Quality Matters schools, if you are looking to pursue a Quality Matters certification for your course, this can help to ease that process of going through the review. But even if you aren't looking to QM certify your own individual course, This really does help us gauge that our peers within academia are seeing the quality of our curriculum, and we're really thrilled to have the certification behind us and behind our process of developing experiments to support what we're doing. Next, I'm really excited to share with you that we've recently relaunched our microbiology content. We have reviewed all of our labs and lessons within our historic microbiology content, and we've revitalized and revised many of our lessons and launched 2 new lessons as part of our expanded microbiology content. As part of this review, we really took into account the explosion of nursing and other health science programs online. And so within our redeveloped curricula, we have 2 standard kits now available. The first is more focused for biology science students, and the second is really focused on health science students. And we're really pleased that with the operational efficiencies and process improvements that we've made this past year, these kits can now be offered at a lower price than our previous microbiology offerings. Within the new microbiology course, of course, like I mentioned, it is Quality Matter certified, but we've also expanded the number of microbes that we have available for analysis. We've added a new microbe, Bacillus subtilis, which we're very excited to have. It's expanded the number of tests that we can allow our students to perform as part of the curricula. We've also incorporated interactive introductory content to really help bolster student engagement throughout the microbiology course, as well as experiment videos to really help students feel confident in performing microbiological techniques. So for example, we have a screenshot here of one of our videos. This is showing students how to pour agar plates. It can be a really tricky technique the first time you do it. And this is shown every time the students perform the technique to really make sure that they feel confident doing that on their own. One of the most exciting additions in the SI microbiology content is a new digital experiment that's really a capstone experiment for the microbiology semester. It's called Identification of an Unknown Microorganism. We don't want to send students any unknown microorganisms to their home for very obvious reasons. That's not a great idea. So we utilize a digital modality here to allow students to have that same experience as their on-campus peers. They're able to perform each of the identification tests to go through the process of identifying gram-negative, gram-positive, starch digesting, not starch digesting, and really isolate down what that microbe is, similar to what they would do in an on-campus lab. And like all of our content, we are WCAG 2.0 compliant in our new microbiology to make sure that all our students are able to access our content. We're really excited about all of the new developments that are coming through our team, but we're also really excited about the changes on our platform. And so I'm going to hand things over to Emily to bring you through some of our updates there.
Thanks, Kate. Hi, everyone. I'm Emily Herman, and I'm the Director of Product Management here at Science Interactive, and I'm so excited to be here with you today and share some of the things that we've been working on this year in the SI Cloud platform. The major theme we've had for this year has been to save our instructors time and administrative effort, and we know from your feedback that the biggest 2 places to start were with redesigning our gradebook and grading tool and improving our LTI integration. So I'm going to dive deeper into those 2 items today, and I'll wrap up by covering some things you can do in SI Cloud now to prepare for a really great fall term. We've launched a completely rebuilt and redesigned gradebook that was heavily informed and directed by members of our instructor community. So a big thank you to all of our instructors who contributed to that effort, whether that was by sharing feedback with your account managers, responding to our surveys, meeting with me to review requirements and give feedback on designs, and the many other ways that you've helped to drive this effort, whether you knew it or not. As a result of that, we've done a ton of interface improvements and redesigns that make grading easier and on average 50 to 60% faster. And depending on your grading flow, maybe even faster than that, up to like 90% faster. In addition to the streamlining and flow improvements, we've added a handful of new features that are going to give you more control than ever before over student grades and feedback. So once you jump into grading, you can choose between grading by student or grading by question. If you've already started to use the new gradebook, you've probably noticed that the actual grading interface is drastically improved from our classic gradebook. As soon as you enter into a grading flow, the platform is going to automatically scroll you through the lesson and drop you at the first question that's not yet graded, which saves you a ton of navigational clicks and lets you get started grading right away. And when you are doing that question grading, you'll see that each student answer is displayed side by side with the answer key for the question, giving you a really quick and easy reference point while you work through a lesson or a question set. But if you need more space for student answers, like for those wide data tables, or maybe students are uploading large images, you can also hide that answer key panel and the table of contents, which is going to expand the student responses. So you have a lot of control over the real estate on your screen, depending on how you prefer to work through student lessons, what you want to see on your screen as you go. Now, we know that for some lessons, like maybe prerequisites or others that you're treating as completion grades, you may not want or need to go through every single question to complete grading and give good feedback. So that's why we've added a brand new feature called Quick Grade, which allows you to skip the individual question grading process and assign a whole lesson grade with just 2 clicks, which really cuts down your time grading exponentially for the lessons that you want to do that for. And on top of this, in this interface, we've built in a ton of navigational options, which is going to allow you to jump between grade by student and grade by question flow, change your questions, change your student, the lesson, really whatever you need. So you aren't always having to go back out to the dashboard and then back into this experience every time you need to change what or who you're grading. And finally, once you finish grading a student's lesson or all the submitted questions, the gradebook is going to automatically take you to the next available lesson or question to grade, which means that you're really able to worry less about navigating and focus more on the feedback that you want to provide while you're doing the grading. And speaking of the feedback, we've added a bunch of new features designed to give you more flexibility in how you provide that feedback and how you score students. A major release that we did with the new gradebook is comment formatting, which we know from your feedback you guys have been wanting. You now have a full rich text editor, which is going to give you superscripts, subscripts, italics, lists, whatever you need to format your comments is all going to be here in the new gradebook. But if you need more than text to assist your students, we've added a question attachment tool, which allows you to upload images, videos, maybe a picture of your experiment or your drawings on a whiteboard of how you're solving a certain problem. Whatever it is you need to provide that individualized feedback to individual student questions, you're able to do that with the attachment tool. And the new gradebook includes the option, which we're really excited about, to add extra credit or apply penalties at the lesson level, which means that you can adjust student scores for those students who maybe go above and beyond, or perhaps they turned it in late and need a little penalty. Whatever the situation is, you're now able to add a line item to the grade calculation and apply broader adjustments to and feedback to that student's lesson. That's going to come with additional comments and feedback about why you're making that adjustments that students will be able to see. There's a lot more that goes into it, so please, please, please check out the new gradebook, play around with the features, and as always, let us know what you like, what you don't like, anything else that you want to share, because we're always working on improvements, and a lot of the things that are in the gradebook now are actually direct responses from the early adopters of the gradebook who've asked for more features. So we're continually working on improvement, and please don't hesitate to let us know what you need. The next major release I want to share with you is our upgraded LTI integration. For anyone who may not be using or may not know about LTI, it stands for Learning Tool Interoperability. It's a standard for connecting learning tools like SI Cloud to your LMS, and it's developed by a nonprofit organization called One Ed Tech. Basically, what it does is it makes it so that SI Cloud can connect to your LMS and make your life and your students' lives easier. The two biggest things that all versions of LTI offers are that it allows for single sign-on right from links within your LMS, which means you're not having to manage enrollment links and updating those every semester, and your students don't have to juggle yet another username and password, and everything's just a lot easier from that end of things. But it also allows SI Cloud to send student grades directly into your LMS gradebook, which means you're not having to manually copy and paste or export any data. It's all done behind the scenes for you. Now, we've had LTI integration for years. We've had those features for years. But One Ed Tech has released a new standard called LTI 1.3, sometimes LTI Advantage. And so we've upgraded our integrations to support it. LTI 1.3 is the newest, most secure way to connect and share data, but it has also dramatically improved setup processes, which makes errors less likely. It is a much faster integration, which means you can integrate a full course from start to finish in about 1/3 the time it took with LTI 1.1. And if you're using LTI 1.1 with us currently, you already have a setup course, you'll definitely want to look into moving to LTI 1.3 anyway, because it offers a lot of additional usability features that are going to make it a lot easier for you to manage your course and your students. The first one is streamlined lesson linking, which is also called deep linking. With 1.1, if you know, The lesson links required a lot of copying and pasting and character strings. All of that with LTI 1.3 has been replaced with a visual interface that you can see in the image here, where you'll just click on the lesson name you want to build a link for, you press connect lesson, and you're done. LTI 1.3 also offers improved grade sync, which means student grades are able to transfer from Cloud to your LMS, even if the student doesn't click on the specific link for that lesson. So that means that if you want, you can turn off that LMS restriction setting that we have in the platform if you're already doing integrations. And that's going to reduce the amount of reasons why a student might be locked out of their lesson. And it's going to give you fewer students reaching out about not being able to access their content. And finally, after your term ends and you're ready to set up next semester's courses or make additional copies for multiple sections, we've done a lot of work to improve the course cloning flow. That course clone form is now auto-filled, which means all you have to do is review the fields. If you want to make changes, you can. But if you don't want to, it's a 2-click thing. You just press save, your section's created for next semester. And maybe the best part for anybody who manages multiple sections is that you have now way better course tracking. LTI 1.3 allows us to track and remember previous course connections, which means that cloning is now super intuitive and you're going to clone from the right course every single time. There's no more guessing about, is Cloud going to remember which course I had linked to originally? It's always going to clone from the course that you're intending to. All right, as the summer comes to a close and we all start looking toward fall term, I wanted to highlight a couple of nice features for you guys to check out in SI Cloud as you're getting ready to get your students into the curriculum next term. First up is the lessons page in SI Cloud. This page offers more than just a way to enter into lessons. There are quite a few options here that give you control over the student experience. From this page, you can set lesson access dates on individual lessons if you need to make sure that, for example, students are progressing through the course as a cohort, nobody's getting way too far ahead of anybody. You can lock down lessons until a certain date. You can also use the checkboxes along the left-hand side to hide any lessons that you don't want students to see yet, or maybe you're not using them at all. You can hide those from students. You can turn off the sequential completion requirements, and you can even adjust your lesson order on this page. And finally, we always recommend you review and customize your curriculum to make it fit for you and your students. As part of that, we have a question customization tool, which is a relatively new feature for us, and it lives inside the custom lesson authoring page. That allows you to hide any existing questions that you don't want students to answer, but you can also add your own questions to any question set in the platform. So that includes data collection elements into the experiment procedures, which, for example, a lot of instructors use to have students take additional photos of their experiment setup and upload them at various stages to check for their lab skills, make sure that they're the ones doing the work, things like that. Similarly, if you have specific tips, tricks, reminders, or a special way that you like to approach a certain concept or equipment, you have the option to add your own pictures, videos, and text to any content page in the top and really give your students that personalized benefit of having you as their instructor. Before I sign off, if you're looking for more information on anything I've shared or mentioned today, we have full details and step-by-step instructions for every one of these items in our Instructor Help Center, which is linked in the top right corner of the SI Cloud platform. It says Help Center, and it has details on just about anything that you can do on the platform. So please make sure to check it out. And you can always reach out to your account manager for additional. And now we are going to turn back over to Sasha.
All right, thanks, Emily. I always strive to achieve 3 things out of these kinds of webinars. First is to give some inspiration. Second is to give a lot of information. And third is to give you some action items. So before we turn over to Q&A, and would like to remind you that we do have a Q&A session and invite you to ask any questions in the Q&A box below, there's a couple of things that we hope that you'll do from what you've heard today. First and foremost is transition to LTI 1.3. We discussed earlier a little bit about the value that we get from it. It's a simpler integration, it's a faster integration, and I know I have, for one, been a bit surprised about the number of you all that don't have any integration yet between Cloud and your LMS. And if you've been waiting for a simpler, more streamlined way to do it, that time has arrived, and that's 1.3. So please contact your account manager as soon as possible. It's not too late to make this happen for fall. The second is to really review and customize your cloud curriculum. As we've discussed, there's a lot of information now available for you to make changes and make updates. And again, as you start to get ready for the fall term, this is no better time to review what's in there and to make the updates. And then lastly, if you are currently using one of our older ESL kits, hopefully you've heard from us already, but if you have not, really encourage you to reach out to your account manager and talk about what the transition might look like over the next couple of terms. As a reminder, the new SI kits have better equipment, come out a lot more quickly, have access to SI Cloud, and are really the gold standard for what kits should be for at-home STEM education. So we're all available to help you. We're all ready to ask any questions and answer any questions you've got, and want to turn over now for a couple minutes about Q&A and appreciate all the questions that have already been coming in. Kate, we're going to start with you. Jennifer asks, what other disciplines are available in the SI line?
Sure. So within the SI line, we have anatomy and physiology, biology, environmental science, forensics, pharmacy technician, microbiology, and geology. Our chemistry suite and our physics labs are in development, but those are the only ones that have not moved into SI yet.
Awesome, thank you. Emily, I got a couple, maybe more than a couple, cloud questions for you. Starting with Sharon, who asks, how do I access the new gradebook?
Yeah, so the new gradebook is going to be right in that hamburger menu drop down. It's those 3 horizontal lines on the left-hand side of the platform. There's a button specifically for it. It says new gradebook with a little try me button. So you click on that, you'll be taken right into it.
Great. And then there's a couple of questions / comments from both Nadine and Pamela about the new gradebook, talking about loading speeds, and then also a desire to grade by question rather than by student. So can you talk a little bit about what we've been doing and what we are doing on both of those points?
Yeah, definitely. So first, grade by question is definitely a feature that's available right now. The way that you'll want to get into it is, well, I guess you have 2 options. The first one is when you click on start grading, that big orange button in the upper right-hand corner, it's going to give you an option to grade by student or grade by question. You click on grade by question. You can also switch into it if you're already in grading an individual student lesson. In the upper left-hand corner, there's a little switcher icon. You click on that and it's going to jump you to the grade by question flow for whatever question you're on in the lesson already. So it's going to remember where you are and switch back and forth. And then the second question was about load times. Yes, we are actively working on load times. We've been working with a system architect, and we have some really good plans in place that should see much improved load times in the near future for you guys.
All right, thank you for that. You're still on, so don't mute yourself just yet. We're now transitioning to the other theme of the day, LTI 1.3. A handful of questions around that, starting with Marcus, who asked, does reintegrating with LTI 1.3 affect any of the customizations in my class?
No, it shouldn't. So you should be able to continue to make any customizations, whether that's custom lesson authoring, instructor notes, custom grade weights. All of that's handled on the cloud side. So changing your integration won't affect it. What you do want to be aware of is that you are not able to change from 1.1 to 1.3 in the middle of a semester because your LMS isn't going to allow that.
A couple of other follow-ups on LTI. Krista asks or says, I heard you cannot do custom authoring after integrating with the LTI. Is that still the case?
No, you should definitely be able to do that. You would just need to, let's say that you add new lessons, you would do a whole entire custom lesson, you would need to add in a direct link to that lesson into your LMS, but you can do that at any point. Okay.
And it goes without saying, but obviously if anyone needs help on any of this stuff, please just contact us and we'll be happy to help you think that through. And then Ryan asks, when will LTI 1.3 guides be ready for Moodle and D2L Brightspace?
Mm-hmm. So Moodle is ready today. Those guides will be out in just a couple of hours. And then for D2L and Brightspace, we are just getting through the last final pieces of polishing those for the release. So those will be available in the next couple of weeks. And if you want to be notified when that happens, please reach out to your account manager and they'll be sure to be in touch.
Great, thank you. And I think the last question for you right now, Emily, is do customized questions copy over into the new semester?
Yes. So yeah, any customized questions that you add in, as long as you're cloning from that section that has those custom questions, they'll be present in your new section as well.
Okay, terrific. Kate, back to you, a couple ones. Pamela asked, will there be a lab set for non-majors biology in the future?
We are actually digging into that right now and doing some research as to what additions we could be making to our biology content. So Pamela certainly would be very interested in reaching out to you if that is of interest, to get your feedback, as we're working through that development.
Great, thank you. Emily, back to you. Chris asks, when we'll be able to remove custom lessons that we authored?
That is a great question. It is a feature on my roadmap that we're looking into. In the meantime, if you want to remove them, what I would suggest you do is on the left-hand side of your lessons list, you have that checkbox. If you uncheck the lesson, it's going to be hidden from students. And you can always reach out to us. Like, let's say you've got 15 custom lessons that you don't want in there anymore. Reach out to us, we'll take care of you. But the feature will be coming in the near future.
Great, thank you. Chad asks, and maybe I'll take this one, for content redevelopment, I've been told by my rep for several years that SI is working on creating pre-made kits for AP Physics and AP Chem. Any idea how soon those kits will be available and ready? The answer for that, Chad, unfortunately, is not soon. We have definitely made a decision to back burner that work, although we continue to discuss it and think about it. But as we have discussed a little bit, we're putting a big effort in redeveloping the ESL kits into the SI curriculum. And so our curriculum team has been pretty loaded up with that. And so wouldn't expect to look at this probably into, late into the next year. So stay tuned for that. And certainly if, we look for that kind of feedback to decide what we're going to prioritize. But at this point, it's not on the immediate roadmap. Emily, I think this is probably best for you. Pamela asks, are there any plans to have a live chat help feature for students?
It is definitely something that we have looked into and we've been talking about. We do have, as far as live chat, that's probably not in the very near future, but we are about to release a chat tool that's going to help them search the knowledge base. It's IAI powered. So we're pretty excited about that one.
And this also for you, Emily. Ryan asks, do you have plans to allow video uploads as a data entry type?
That is also something that we're looking into. We have an item on our roadmap to do kind of a more comprehensive assessment of what question types are available, what question types should we look into expanding. And that's definitely on the list to look into. It wouldn't be coming probably this year, but it's definitely something that Kate and I will be talking about and considering.
Great, thank you so much. Kate, Krista asks, when will the new question banks be available? And will there be an ability to create algorithmic questions to make sure students receive different values in calculated questions?
So two-part answer here. The first set of question banks will be for our environmental science, pharmacy technician, forensics, chemistry, and geology kits. Those will be coming this month. The rest of our disciplines will be available by the end of the year. In terms of algorithmic questions, we have not gotten quite to that level yet. It is something Emily and I have really been looking into, how our questions are set up and what improvements we can make there. And those algorithmic-based questions are absolutely one of the things on the list, along with the video questions mentioned before. We're hoping to incorporate that in the future.
Great. And then another one for you, Kate. It's a question / suggestion, I think, from Andrew on physics. And he says, from the physics side, would you consider putting in more how-to videos to help students move through some of the more difficult procedures and experiments? And he says, pictures are nice, but showing someone actually assembly, disassembly, demonstrate the experiment is always helpful.
Absolutely. So we have had a real focus on expanding the number of videos in our content this year. We'll be rolling out a number of new video supports going into this fall, and we will be continuing this initiative going into 2024. This will be part of our new developments as well as for our existing products that are on the line, because we know these video have been really helpful to our students in courses we've already launched them in. So keep your eyes open. They will be coming into the courses.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Kate. Thank you so much, Emily. And thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. That actually wraps the questions that we got right on time as we'd hoped. As I said at the beginning, thank you very much for the opportunity to help you serve your students. And thank you very much for spending some time with us today. We really appreciate all the questions and all the feedback, and we'll look forward to a continued dialogue. But for now, enjoy the rest of your summer, enjoy the rest of your day, and good luck this fall. Thanks for joining us today.